What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. You already know it is the 904 Strength Club, home of the strongest content coming out of Northeast Florida. And today is actually a very interesting video, to me anyway. Um, so, I was preparing to do a video on the bullshit myth of healthy at any size, and that's still in there. That's still part of this video. But in doing this and thinking through this and really putting the work into the video that I put into my videos, um, I kind of had an epiphany on this. So I'm going to talk about this very much in very personal terms. Now, when I talk about this, let me say what this is not. This is not about fat shaming. This is not about saying get up off your ass and go work out, or put the fat put the donut down, fatty, or anything like that. If you are obese and you have a good self-image, a healthy self-image, you don't struggle with self-worth or self-value or any of those things, that is great. I wouldn't take that from you for the world. Okay? That's not what this is about. But what this is about is a very objective and self aware discussion of what obesity means for your health, its knock on effects. So, let's look at me. Alright. I am a 370-pound strongman competitor. Am I a top level guy? No. Am I a guy that can consistently finish podiums at reasonably sized show? Yeah. Yeah. I'm not bad. Okay? I'm not great. I'm not bad. I'm somewhere in the middle when I can show up healthy to a show and without injury. Healthy. I worked it in there. No, when I can show up without injury to a show. I have chosen to optimize my performance along maximal strength values. Now, that has helped me in some very real ways in competitions, but that has hurt me on other events. There are events that I'm very good at, and there are events that I'm not as good at. In doing so, though, in staying in a caloric surplus a good bit of the time, there have been consequences to that beyond just losing on events. And those consequences, I would argue, are that in every competitive athlete's life, there is a date at which the sport that they are competitive in can no longer have that lifestyle of being a competitive athlete in that sport. Now, after that, it may become a hobby. Some of them may walk away from it altogether because they can't do it at a low level and just have fun with it. They have to perform at such a high level. With me, I think that I'll be okay with being a hobbyist again. You know, just being somebody that competes every once in a while just because I want to get out there and knock the dust off and, you know, just see what I can do. But the idea of training as hard as I do and putting my body through what I put my body through with the supplements and everything else and the food and all that, that will be coming to an end. Because I've optimized the way that I've optimized, and being self-aware as I've prepared for this video, I think that the more that I stay in this range, the more likely it is that I'm cutting that career, you know, that athletic window shorter rather than extending it. And that's because it's not that I'm not training hard. It's not that I'm not out there doing a lot of things. It is that I have made choices, which if I continue to make those same choices as far as the way that I present myself at competition, showing up with the package that I show up with me, that's going to lead to a shortened lifespan in the sport. And a lot of that is because it's going to lead to a shortened lifespan, period. All right? Several years ago, my wife and I had a conversation about my size because she was concerned, and rightly so. And I told her there's a drop dead that's a great way to put a drop dead date. There's a time at which this phase will pass. I am in this phase for a while, but it is a phase that will pass. And when this phase passes, it will be time to get down to a sub 300 weight, probably a sub 250 weight, potentially even. But because it's important to us that I see my children grow up, and it's important to us that I see my children get married, that I get to walk my daughter down the aisle and give her away to her future husband, and that I get to greet my grandchildren. Those things are important, okay? The likelihood of me being able to do that at 370 pounds and staying there for another 10 or 15 years is not great. So, one of the things making this video has caused me to do is to reevaluate, is this the package that I want to continue to show up to the event with? Or do I want to look at optimizing my performance along a more athletic course and extending my career and extending my lifespan, most likely? So yeah, that's the match I'm in. Let's say it's 45 that I can get to in my current state. It might be 48 or 50 that I can get to in a smaller, leaner, but still strong as hell state. Is it worth taking the 6 months that it would take in order to do that? And I think the answer is probably yes. So, as I've made this video, it's been a good bit of cause for reflection for myself. So realize when I say these things, I'm not saying these things in the abstract. I'm saying these things as things you need to think about from a practical point of view. Now, you may say, I don't give a damn. I'm going to go to the state fair and I'm going to get a Krispy Kreme burger that's been deep fried and rolled around and crushed up Oreos. And that's your choice. And you know what? That's on you. That's fine. Just don't do it under the delusion that you're healthy. Understand the consequences of your actions. The problem that I have isn't with people that actively choose to continue to be overweight. The problem isn't even with people that are just overweight, because Lord knows I am one of you. The problem is with people that try to say that being overweight is still healthy. When you look at health, there are different ways that you can break down health. It's actually really hard to operationally define healthy so that you can go out there and you can measure somebody and say, yeah, they're healthy, and then you can look at somebody else and measure them and say, well, they're not healthy, because it's hard to take into account such a comprehensive picture. So, you can look at health as kind of a composite of biological and environmental, and then behavioral. And the biological you can't do anything about inherently. You can only mitigate. Within biological, you would have congenital defects as well as genetic predispositions. This is why when you go see a new doctor, they're going to take a family history and they're going to say, do you have a history of cancer, diabetes, heart disease, this, that, or the other within your family? So they know to keep an eye out on those things. Um, yeah, and there's nothing you can do about changing that. You can only mitigate and mediate. You then have environmental factors, access to clean water, good food, fresh air, sun, outdoor activities, things like that. Even the type of job that you work in would kind of fall into environmental. Do you work a job where you're active and you're up and moving, or do you work a job where you're sedentary and sitting under fluorescent lights for extended periods staring at a computer? You know, and then you have behavioral, and behavioral has to do with, like, for me, I would say behavioral has to do with your activity levels, whether you lead a sedentary life outside of work, the quality and quantity of food that you eat, things like that. All right. So you have environmental influences, which you have some level of control over, not necessarily complete control, because you may not have the means in order to change your environment completely. You then have your biological influences, which you have no control over, and then you have your behavioral influences, which are things that you can control. All right. So when you look at obesity, even if you neglect the direct physiological effects on the body of carrying around excess adipose tissue, fat, what you wind up with, though, if you say being fat does not cause you to struggle with health directly, that you can in a vacuum have excess bodily fat, and it's not going to strain your systems or make it harder for your body to work or anything like that. You can say that for the sake of argument. I think you're wrong, but we'll grant that for the sake of argument. What you see in obesity is a proxy for people making bad behavioral choices. All right? It's not 100% one-to-one. And I can sit here as somebody who is obese by every measure and tell you I work out harder than a lot of people. And more often, it's not uncommon for me to spend 8 to 10 hours a week in the gym. And that includes cardio. I typically have a job when I'm not injured to where I go outside and walk around, walk up and down stairs, and do all sorts of things. I get good food. I have cheat days and I eat like shit sometimes, but overall I eat a lot of healthy food. My wife is a wonderful cook and makes fresh, good food. She's the first person I've ever known that actually makes Brussels sprouts to where they're delicious, not just edible, but delicious. So I get good food. I make good food choices. The quantity is the one that kind of gets me, because I push a lot of food in order to support the frame that I'm on, in order to support the workouts that I do and all that. So, yeah, guilty on that one. But, I'm not typical. I think you'd be hard pressed to find out of a large group of obese people that make those same choices. Okay? As a matter of fact, I know that in a group of obese people, you're not going to find the vast majority of them making that choice. You find that obesity is going to correlate very well and can be used to some extent as a proxy for bad lifestyle choices, which are not mediating the genetic issues or the genetic predisposition toward issues. So, yeah, even if you say that excess adipose tissue does not directly impact your health, the way that it got there does. Now, you can go out and get a bunch of diagnostic tests done, and you can prove that as of right now, there's nothing that is threatening your life from a disease point of view, barring major illness come your way. But from the diseases that we talk about, coronary disease, diabetes, cancer, things like that, that within the next 3 to 6 months, you're probably safe from any of those actually happening. Okay. If your metric for health is you're probably not going to die within the next 3 to 6 months, then damn near everybody in the United States is healthy. Okay? If your metric for health is likely to meet or exceed average life expectation, try doing that at 450 pounds. It's probably not going to work out well for you. Alright? When you make those poor life choices, there's a cumulative effect. It's kind of like arguing that because I've been smoking for 5 years, which I don't smoke anymore, but I started smoking 5 years ago, and I don't have lung cancer, so I don't believe that, I don't believe lung cancer is going to affect me just because I smoke. That's a stupid argument. Okay? You cannot look at health as the snapshot now. All you can look at is trends that are indicative of what's to come. Alright? The last argument is, well, I don't even know if I will live to see my 70s because I could get in a car accident tomorrow. That's very true. Hopefully that's not the strategy that you're using to plan for your retirement, dumbass. Yeah, you don't know. But you should probably go ahead and count on it being a likelihood so that if it doesn't happen, or so that if it does happen, you're not in your 70s decrepit and fucked up. Alright? You're not in your 60s getting your foot amputated because of diabetes, or in your 50s getting toes and your foot amputated. Okay? Yeah, tomorrow's not promised. That much is true. But if you start applying that logic across all areas of your life, you're going to be pretty miserable. If you use that as a source of strength to draw on and to live today to the fullest relationally, to where you love and you hug the people that are around you and try to pour yourself out and enrich those people because you realize that today might be the last day that you ever see them, that is an empowering thing. If you use it as an excuse for stupid behavior, it's a very stupid thing. Alright? So, yeah, you might not live to see your 60s or 70s, but you might. And you probably want to be in decent shape when you do it so that you can actually get through them and not have to have a caretaker. Alright? So, that's, this video has been a little bit longer than normal, but because of the very personal and near and dear nature to me, I thought it was appropriate to share. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. If you like this video, please share it. If you're an asshole in the comments, then just be an asshole. That's fine. Whatever. If it's just like, is Chungus hungry? Yeah, I am hungry. Okay? Anyway, we'll see you on the next one. Oh, one follow-up. Because I personally have a soft spot I have a lot of soft spots. I'll make the fat jokes around here, asshole. Because I have a soft spot for people that are genuinely trying to lose weight and are struggling with that, I'm probably going to do some videos on managing weight loss effectively and different strategies that you can use. So if that's something that would interest you, just put a comment below, and that'll kind of be encouraging for me to do a little bit of research and actually put together some quality videos that might be helpful. So, anyway, that's all I got for today. In the words of the critical drinker, go away now.